Hello. The air conditioning is running. I hope it's not going to cause any weird audio problems. I'm the kind of person who I will keep the windows open all year. Can't be too hot in the summer, it can't be too cold in the winter. I just like fresh air. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. A husband is the kind of person who he doesn't want at one temperature all year, but he does want to knock the edge off. So, you know, it's about at 85 degrees outside right now. We've got the thermostat set about 77. So that's, and in the winter we have it lower. But anyway, so babbling already, because I don't have much to tell you. Because most of my creative time since last week has been spent sewing human-sized stuff. Like this shirt, which I cut this out when I was sick. I thought I was feeling a little better, and I cut it out and then just crashed after that. So this weekend I finally sewed it. It's, I had a shirt pattern that I bought in 2002, and I made a bunch of alterations to it, so it doesn't really resemble the original pattern, and I have grown a little since then. So I finally decided to make alterations to it so it would fit me again, and this is the first test on that. If you've altered clothes before, you know that generally you fix the big thing, then you start noticing all the little things that you didn't notice before because the big thing was such a bother. So this closes now and doesn't tug and is a good fit, but the back is a little tight and it causes the sleeves to be a little tight. So I've made alterations to another new pattern piece, and I will make a test of that after I get through the stack of things I already want to sew. Like I said, trying to use more of what I have. Not that I haven't bought cloth in the last week, in the last few hours, but. And then the other thing I did with sewing is I started work on this. See, the sides still aren't sewn together. Simple pullover shirt I've made a lot. Not the most flattering thing, but it's really comfortable. And it's nice in the summer to have something woven to wear that's not knit, because knits are just slightly warmer than wovens. So I should be able to finish this in the next day or so. As usual for me, when I use a pattern, like I said, I make alterations. One of my big alterations is not following the cutting layout. And with this, the pattern as given has long sleeves. So obviously I save cloth with that, and it's also supposed to be like, I don't know, about 6 inches longer, maybe 4 inches, and even longer. So I used almost all of this cloth that I have, but there's a little bit left that I'm pretty sure I will make some doll clothes out of. So that's what I did for most of my creative time. I have done some doll things. Like with this doll, I can't remember if I showed her to you last week. I know I had put pictures up of her. She had a chip on one eye, and I touched up that paint chip, but then I decided I kind of liked the way it looked. It looked like a light reflection there. So I went back over the area with a little dash of green on both eyes, and I also enlarged the original white eye reflection. Hopefully she stays still because she has a very wobbly head, because there's a lot of improvisation going on here. See, this body had a broken neck knob when I received it. Another generous gift, thank you. The head's generous gift, thank you to everybody. You give me stuff that I can experiment with. I love it. So obviously I drilled out a hole in the little nub of the neck knob, and I sunk a screw into it, and I put an old Obitsu neck adapter on it. So it's floppy. I can probably put some stuff in there to make it firmer. So her head's floppy, but it works. And this was another head received from Ragamuffin Squad. Sorry. Another head from Ragamuffin Squad that just, like I said, this, I think I mentioned when I showed you this last week, she has individually sculpted teeth, which you don't see much. I don't know if you can see that. I will eventually have pictures of her on Instagram and Flickr, of course. This head has been laying in the sun with acne cream on this dark spot on the forehead practically since she arrived here. The spot has faded a bit, but it's still there right now. Her swoopy hair covers it. But I have not made the effort to make her neck connection firm because I probably will reroot her because, you know, brown hair just isn't my thing on dolls or on me. So eventually, I don't think I will repaint her. I might touch up like the light dots in her eyes. I might mess around with her rooted eyelashes to make them longer. I've been experimenting. I've been taking these tweezers and pulling them out to make them a little bit longer, which did improve her appearance some, but they're very inconsistent looking, so I might reroot her eyelashes too and give her some sort of fantasy hair. But I went ahead and dressed her just because. And Picaro was talking about how she likes to dress her Barbies in sort of Blythe and Momoko style, so she has decided to limit her Barbies to those who can share clothes with Blythe and Momoko. And I like Blythe and Momoko style on Barbies too, but I have been spending years making those clothes or acquiring them, like this came with a sweater I bought on Etsy for dolls, and this was a holiday secret gift giver exchange. I made this, and these are from dolls that are smaller than Barbie, but I have fun making my dolls wear tacky, obnoxious clothes. And I did paint a doll. I don't know if you'd seen those pictures that I'd posted of the Barbie Fairytopia heads with the fantasy hair that I'd gone ahead and stripped all the paint off of. And one of them had this big smile that a lot of people found really disturbing, even with no paint on the face. And I was looking at people's pictures on Instagram, and Bear Called Red's Neggy really caught my eye. I mean, he's larger, he's BJD, and he has sculpted smile and inset eyes, but just his slightly unsavory smile really caught my imagination. So I made this sketch, looking at a picture of Neggy, just to get the key points. And I think I managed to get the sort of evil aspect in the sketch. And then I used the sketch as a reference while I painted. I didn't want to exactly copy. Well, for one thing, I couldn't because they were so, you know, BJDs have so much more three-dimensional, the eyes, and this one had inset teeth, and so much more three-dimensionality than a Barbie. But I went ahead and used that as my inspiration to paint this gal, who I'm calling Flavigny, after the violet candy. I didn't get her to look as evil as I thought she would look, but, and this isn't just blatant flaunting things. Bear Called Red has said this is great, and kind of now I'm imagining Neggy having minions, which is a scary thought. But, so here's my gal. I obviously have put her on a live body, and I have a dear old internet friend who has already said that she would give this a new home, so she will be traveling to Vermont eventually. Because this is one of the things I just like to experiment. See what would happen if I did this to that head. And that's, with me, the fun is doing it. Sometimes I like the doll when I'm done, sometimes I love the dolls when I'm done, and sometimes I'm just done with them. And I did redo her hair too. She'd had this odd hairstyle with two long braids in the side and a curly ponytail. So I took the braids out and cut everything to be about the same length as the ponytail. Which, when I was brushing out the ponytail, some of the loops in the back of the head from where she was rooted had actually never been cut. So at first I thought they were big nasty knots that I couldn't get brushed out. Then I actually looked at them and realized, oh, those are still loops. So cut those and everything went fine. And then I curled them on straws, and I do like her hair. I'm feeling cat hair on me again. So that's all the doll stuff that I did since last week. Until I was out today The store where I got this, which yes, I still have not taken her out yet because I still do want to have a sales trade list put up, and I've been procrastinating doing that, and I want to get that up before I let her out. Although when I do get that up, her outfit will be part of it because this just isn't my style. So one of those, the store's called Bargain Hunt, and a new Bargain Hunt opened much closer to where I live, and I stopped in that today hoping they might have some more forgotten reduced price silkstones, and they didn't. I do want to say, Chris, if you're watching, they had that second edition Pioneer Barbie in a box. I don't know where she came from. She's from, what, 1994? Maybe earlier? But I saw that in the box, that particular face that you were trying so hard to identify when you first discovered her, and there she was. So I thought that was funny. So no dolls there. I did go to the thrift store, and I got a bag. This store does everything you can fit into a bag for $2.99. So, or if items are 50 cents each, I got just enough to make the bag. Usually I've been good in not filling up the bags. I usually just pick up a few pieces so I'm not spending the whole thing and not bringing home a lot of stuff, but this time I was better about filling the bag. And I have not looked at what I've gotten since I got home, so let's do that. Yeah, I got some iron-on letters. I don't even know if you can see those since they're white on white, but they're all Cooper Black. If they're not actually Cooper Black, they're close as far as the font goes. Which, when I think of iron-on letters, I think of Cooper Black because I was a kid first noticing this kind of thing around 1980-81 when Cooper Black was everywhere. Yeah, I'm one of those font people. Sorry. And this gal had actually, she had been there for weeks. And I almost bought her like every week, except one of the things that keeps me from buying just tiny random things is I go in without any cash. So I have to think, do I really want to use a card to buy just 49 cents worth of doll? And the answer is usually no, but here, since I was buying other things, and she was still there, I went ahead and got her. I don't think she's marked anyway. There's nothing inside the dress. Oh, 1985? City Toy. She says in the back of her head. I have a feeling she's not any specific doll. She's just generic because she's molded hollow plastic. But I think this dress just has that super 80s look to it with the nice aging that it has acquired over the years. So I'll probably wash the dress. I'm not sure if I'll do anything with her head, although it's a generically cute head. I thought for a moment she had rooted eyelashes, but she doesn't. But yeah, the dress doesn't really have any tears or rips or, you know, this kind of cheap satin will often just shred at the seams. But the seams are in pretty good shape. There's even some areas under her arms where the yellow isn't quite as faded. The elastic is shot, but that's normal for elastic. So I'll at least get the dress fixed up and see how it looks on a different doll maybe, or maybe I will see about fixing her up. She could look fun with fantasy hair. I like the results of rerouting dolls, I just don't like to do the reroute. And this is probably the third of this doll I've had, and she has never kept her head. So, but I do like finding bodies, this skin tone. And I'm not sure which series this is. I'm sure those of you who know have already yelled out which one it is. But the fact that she has hands and arms is pretty much what convinced me to grab her, and also the bonus that she has her dress and shoes. But you know, thrift store, Monster High, who are loose and not bundled up, very seldom have their hands and arms around here. So that was nice. Just a good old generic knockoff Kewpie type doll. With I'm not familiar with these. I know this is not a real Kewpie. I'm sure it's not, just because it's so cheap. And I don't know. Why is that hole there? I don't. But, so, I will clean this up. You know, my problem with dolls is I wanted to rescue them even though I don't always know what I'm going to do with them. But, there. And then I found a Pink Panther. Oh well. It has a bit of a broken wire problem. But still, it will clean this up and give this to husband because he has a small assortment of pop culture toys down by his computer desk. And it includes Scooby-Doo and Mr. Peabody, and I'm sure he will appreciate Pink Panther. Just a reading light. Always interesting ways to use these for doll pictures. Or, actually I'm probably going to give it to the kiddo because he likes lights, and he's always asking to read at night, and we're always saying no, but me being me. Yeah, sure, just, no, go to sleep. Don't use your reading light. Especially since summer's coming up, and we will be trying to get him to go to bed at a proper time, but it's not as absolutely necessary as on a school night. And that's one of the reasons I decided to go ahead and go to the thrift store, is because, like I said, summer is coming. He does not like to go thrifting. I'm not going to make him go thrifting. So I won't be going thrifting for 2 months. So, and then we found I found the Ender Dragon. We already have the Ender Dragon, but I can't resist getting another one when you shove them all into a bag for $3. And I did buy other things in the store. Actually, some of them were doll things. Like I found this bag of paper parasols that are big. You know, most of the times when you find paper parasols, they're closer to this size when they're open. Which kind of works okay with Monster High, but with a Barbie-sized doll, it's just a little small. So when I saw these, and I've almost ordered paper parasols this size for dolls to use for like 10 years or so, but usually you have to order, you know, dozens and dozens of them, or you pay shipping. So I don't do it, but now I'm so happy to have correctly scaled paper parasols for my dolls. I will cut off the pointy part in the bottom. Sometimes I make tassels to put on the bottom of them too. Although this one is a little, it'll look fine in photos, sure. Oh, I see. A few parts have come unglued. I might be able to fix that. I wonder if they're all like that. I don't know if you can even see what this is doing. That amuses me so much. But the reason it's doing that is because some of these are broken, sticking out. I might be able to fix that, but orange is the color I'm least likely to use. And the red and purple have never been. The little thing is, the little ring is still on them to hold them closed. I don't want to cut the rings off. I usually keep these rings and use them for bracelets on dolls, but I'll go ahead and make sure I throw this away properly so the cat doesn't eat it. Nope, missed. Alright, let's see what kind of shape this one is in. I'm always afraid of breaking these things. I know my posture is terrible. Alright, this one holds in place, but the little ring that locks it in place is a little loose, but still. So that's nice. I like that it's more pink than red once it's open. And then the purple one, which appears to have a print on it. I always loved getting these things when I was a kid. You never knew what was going to be printed on it. And that was exciting for me as a kid. Kind of like also we had a recent discussion, those little plastic cocktail swords. I loved those as a kid. They were my Barbie's weapons. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a print, but it's still interesting. And can't go wrong with purple. And it is a great size for dolls. Maybe even a little large, but that's fine. Better than the undersized normal cocktail dolls. Like I was saying, those cocktail swords. Not something that I encountered a lot as a child, but I always treasured them. Until eventually I found in some weird 5 and dime store, I found a whole package of them, so my Barbies were armed for life. I just noticed that this gal has been chewed on her feet. I was making sure her feet weren't chewed on, or her hands weren't chewed on, because the body I have like this, that's not committed to use yet, has a very chewed up hand. Which I tried that thing where you boil a plastic hand to see if it regains its shape, and it did some. So I don't think you can do that to hard plastic feet. I guess it wouldn't hurt to try, and if that doesn't work, I might be able to sand this. So that's it for doll things, and I did look at cloth, and the 2 things I picked out happened to be color of the week, so I got them half off. You know, just pink. I'm so drawn to prints that I have to remember to even think about looking at solids, and then in the thrift store you don't often find solids and colors that I would use, but this was nice. And then I found another wax print. And you know, part of the reason I have been hesitating on wax prints is because they're not quite my colors. But then this, yeah. There's, it's not the highest quality wax print. There's at least one big flaw in it. I thought it was right in the middle, but apparently it's near the edge. I'm mumbling, muttering to myself now, aren't I? Yeah, there's a big flaw here. But that's so close to the edge that can be worked around. There. Okay, there's another one going across here. Still, that can be worked around. I don't know if I might be able to, for small areas, I could get a straight pin and push those back together. I think it's actually missing them, they're not out of place. Anyway, wax print, and I'm trying to sew, so in theory I can say I sewed this, and I'm almost done with this, so that's 2 things, so I can bring in 2 more cloth, right? Maybe. So, that's really my lackluster update since last week. It was kind of an odd thing this morning. I went outside to look at the giant rose bush I have. I don't do anything to the rose bush. I don't feed it in any way. I don't put pesticides or anything on it. I'll go out and check it, like if I see aphids, I'll just cut off that whole branch. But I decided this morning, since it's blooming again, I wanted to see if there were enough roses that were in good shape that I could take some to the ladies at the post office. And as I was out there, okay, that's good, and I was walking back and I heard a garage door open, and I looked around and saw it was a neighbor across the road who I wave at a lot, but I've never spoken to. And she's standing in the end of her garage when the door was opening, and she saw me looking, so she waved at me and I waved at her, and she said, "You know, I want to tell you, your lawn is really nice. Your yard is really nice," something like that. And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. You want some roses?" So she came over and I grabbed one of my 8 million jars and I cut some roses for her, and we talked for a while. And I'm trying not to say our yard isn't that nice, but thank you. We got a lot of weeds in the yard, but they're well-mown weeds. And this house next to us, it's not hard to look good compared to them. And my husband doesn't really like doing yard work, but it's his yard, so it's his duty, so the yard gets worked on. And so I talked to her, and then I cut the roses to take to the people at the post office. And then as I was driving out to do errands, I saw a hawk take off and fly across the road. It's like, oh, hawks, I love hawks. And then I noticed this hawk had something clasped in its talons, like, yeah, you go hawk. And then I got to the post office, and when I did my post office stuff, and then I went back out to the car and got the roses and brought them in and said, you know, these are just off my rose bush. And her face just lit up. It's like, oh, I didn't know you liked them that much, but I'm so glad you do. And then when I went to the thrift store, it's like the lady at the register who's always there, is like she's saying hi to me and teasing me about stuff, and so I shop and I get my stuff and I go to check out, and there's two people. There's the lady, and then there's the brony. And the nice lady is having computer problems. So I'm steeling myself up to go through checkout with the brony. And he's always trying to make jokes. And it just doesn't quite mesh with my sense of humor, because I tend to be a little more snarky. And so I get there, and he's, you know, he does the Pink Panther theme. But I notice on his vest, all the pins and stuff he has, there's no longer My Little Pony stuff. So maybe he's not a brony anymore. So maybe I don't have to dread going through his checkout line quite as much. But I'd still rather go through Bonnie's line. And that's my week. Hopefully, I mean, I'm pretty sure I will at least sew this. If I don't, I have other human-sized stuff to sew. I have an infinite amount of human-sized stuff I could sew. So I might not have as much doll stuff next week, but I'm going to try to be consistent. Seems like if I actually put my mind to it, I can get at least one repaint done, or even one reroute. Because if I sit down and concentrate, which I might have gotten a reroute done this last weekend, but I did have a nasty allergy headache one day, which kind of, I barely got the laundry done that day, but things are better. And I'm going to turn this video off before I ramble anymore. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks for watching.